Information to help you run your business better and improve your marketing campaigns. My name is Hank Hoffmeier, and thank you for joining me on Hank's Marketing and Business Tips. Welcome to episode 304 of the HMBT podcast. Today, I'm joined by Peter Cholnoky. He is the CEO of eHawk, a company that helps online businesses identify, lead, and sign up risks. What's interesting is it does not sound like an exciting topic, but it is a very important one. And Peter's here today to help us navigate how to make sure we have the best possible quality and quantitative leads, from your website. Peter, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great. It's something that I think I talk about a lot when it comes to like websites and landing pages is number one, friction, like reducing the friction, getting people to at least fill out a form or provide information to get a download, sign up for a webinar, whatever it is. But then a lot of people always forget about, hey, there's nefarious things that happen with these forms. There's leads that come in that aren't good quality and all these things. And what Kickbox does, who I work for, we make sure email addresses are valid as they come in if you're using the API, or you can use an integration or upload lists. But you go above and beyond that. And I've seen some tools, and what I want to know is, what does eHawk do to help combat these leads that are coming in that might not be something that you want to have on your list in your CRM or whatever? Let's talk about that first.
Sure. So, we started this journey like 16 years ago, I think it was now. And a lot of the large ESPs were, those emails were deliverable, but they had risk associated with them. So over the years, we've built a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger model. And right now we look at about 500 different metadata points. So we don't just look at email, we look at, IP, email domain, phone numbers, names, fingerprints, every piece of data that we could possibly get. And the friction thing is interesting because some recent companies have done some pretty big analysis on, everyone made their forms about as short as possible. So all you had was an email, and then you had to click on 25 fire hydrants to get through. They found that with, auto fill in forms and all this other kind of stuff, that you can capture a lot of data without having that friction. Mm-hmm. And we, unlike kind of a Kickbox thing or other people that kind of just check one data point, we believe that, risk is all around not just the data point, but all of those points together. So if you're just like looking for email, Kickbox is the place to go. If you're looking more for the whole lead, where we can capture a whole bunch of data and then look at that data and see how it works together, how the individual parts are. And that's been kind of a real journey. The idea behind this was there were all these like spam traps, Spam House and all these, and they were all a reactive system. So after 10,000 spams had gone out, they then would take that down that domain. Kind of our hope was to go up the chain and see if we couldn't take this lead data and sign up data and find the infrastructure behind that stuff to have an impact. Okay. So, think of us as when you go and lease a car, right? They call 3 credit bureaus. And if they're all green, they throw you the keys. If they're all red, they tell you to go across the street to the other dealer. It's when they're yellow that it's kind of complicated. So we like to run a whole bunch of analysis on all different kind of aspects of that lead. And then we return back information on what we found. And then what's been fascinating is customers all have different kind of risk factors. So most of our customers don't like disposable emails. I think Kickbox says they don't like disposable emails either. But if you're running an adult entertainment site, everyone uses a disposable email. So we built kind of a scoring mechanism on top of our system where you can basically pick the things that you think are risky. And then when we score it, we score all of those things that you think are risky and build up kind of a score profile. So you can customize the thing because everyone's leads are different.
Yeah, and I talk about that all the time, especially since I'm with, with Kickbox, I work with a lot of partners, different ESPs, CRMs, and all these things. And people will say, what platform should I use? And I'll say, that's a loaded question. It depends
Yes.
on, and go into the conversations. And I'm glad you broke it down, especially around like, the credit bureau and stuff like that and buying a car, because I think there might be some people listening that have never even heard of doing this or going to be hesitant on like, do I need to, or how do I do this? Let's dive in a little deeper. So now that we kind of know what's happening, it's basically getting this profile, this score, all this information. Whereas a lot of people, I think, when they get started, they want to collect as many leads, whether it's phone number, SMS, or email, right? I got to get out of the mindset of always talking about email and
Yep.
just saying we have to contact everyone because sales is a numbers game. And I think, slowly experts like us are trying to talk to people around, hey, you need to, segment, automate, and you need to look at your data, right? Analyze your data. This way you're reaching the right person at the right time with the right message. How does this data profile help someone, say a smaller business, identify the right types of leads, or help them throw out ones that maybe are not going to be effective? And I'm guessing that can possibly save them time and money by doing that too.
Yeah, it can save them, a lot of time and money. I mean, we work with a lot of companies who are spending an enormous amount to advertise themselves throughout the internet to drive traffic. So either they're buying traffic or they're buying keywords or whatever. And then they get very excited because they got 500 leads. And then they start trying to contact those leads. And the phones don't ring, the emails bounces, all of that kind of stuff. So we kind of do all of that checking up front. We'll tell you if the phone is disconnected, if the email will bounce, if it's in a domain that you don't really want to do, all of those kinds of things that could help you. And we link all of that back to the lead sources if you're buying leads from specific sources. Or if you're doing marketing on like Facebook or Google or whatever. So you can go in and quickly see a dashboard that said, I spent all of this money. I got 500 leads, but 490 of them are disposable emails or junk emails. And
Right.
so you can then use when we respond back with our JSON response, don't want to get too technical, but when you call our API and we send back some information, you can parse through that information and you can actually use it intelligently, not just the score, but you could say, the email is a hard bounce, so don't put it in a drip campaign. The phone is good, so have customer support call them and see if they can update the phone and all of these other kinds of things. I mean, we have um, one very large e-commerce company that uses us, and if there's certain metadata points that come back, they will allow that person to buy an unlimited number of rolls of toilet paper, but only one iPad because no one steals toilet paper pre-COVID. But that's the kind of idea is that we're an information service. We don't really, we say that we block leads, but we don't really block leads. We just run a whole ton of analysis on them and then report back what we found. And you can use that data to have tell your CRM or lead management system what to do, your e-commerce system kind of what to do. And we tell a lot of people, because the salespeople want to let a lot of leads in, which is great. But you can build your back end to reduce your risks by
Mm,
taking our metadata and doing things. If you're an ESP and the person's risky, you don't need to allow them to send 10,000 emails,
mhm.
right? If the domain was created 5 days ago or is for sale, the odds are that they don't have a list that's 5,000 people. So there's a whole bunch of extra kind of decisions that you can make when you have extra information, as you talked about before. The more information you have, and you can pump all this. We have a lot of customers that pump this information into AI and LLMs and have it learn things because all that we see is we're like a bouncer at the door.
Right.
So, we have a half of a second or whatever, 600 milliseconds to tell you what we think. And you have all the performance data. So you can match our kind of intelligence with performance data to build better models as to where you should advertise, what leads you should let in, what those leads that have risks end up costing you, and things like that.
I love it. Yeah, and like I love how you say like use the data and filter accordingly if you want to. Like you're saying, if the email address is bad and the phone is either valid or, unknown or whatever, you could say call only, tag it call only or
Right.
email only, or like with email validation results, there's something called unknown, right? You can't get in touch with the server, so it's unknown. We have some clients that want to take that risk and they'll try to email them. Other ones will say, we just don't accept that. We're going to ask for another one.
Right.
I think people need to
Every
start looking
company
at this
has its
data.
own risk levels, right? And
Yes.
we're not going to solve that problem for them, right? Like, it's just like at the car dealership. Like some car dealerships, if you got two red and one yellow, they're in the high risk business. So they're like, here's
Yeah.
your loan is at 18%, enjoy the car, right?
Been there, done that when I was younger. Now I get better
Yeah, we
rates.
all did.
I guess my profile's more green than it is yellow these days.
Hopefully with age we get a little more green.
So what are some immediate things people can do, if they're not ready to hop on and use something like eHawk? What are some things that people need to do with their data now? Is there any tips and tricks you have for somebody to do that and then say, "Hey, you know what? This is interesting, but it's very manual. Maybe I need to do some automation with API."
Yeah, so there's a million ways that you can kind of, lower your risk, right? I mean, you could go to Claude and say, write me a little, script that identifies a lot of disposables or whatever, right? You could use Kickbox and say, I want to, filter out these things. We tell everyone that if you get serious about this and want to scale, so if you have 50 leads a day, you're not going to implement something like us. I mean, we
Mhm.
typically work with very high volume type
Right.
of organizations. We process billions of transactions. And so, there are a whole bunch of ways that you can kind of lower your risk. My recommendation whenever I talk to someone is like, what's costing you money? Is it the advertising that's, sending you bots? Is it those people getting into your system and sending and leveraging your application to cause you problems? We had one customer that signed up with us, and all they do is they create teams for like high school kids. So if your high school kid plays soccer, you can go up there and create a team. You can upload all the parents. And there were people that were, again, it's an SMTP server. So there were people that were creating new teams and creating 1,000 players and sending out Viagra messages to all of the team players. So it's just a matter of identifying the risks and what it costs you. My first advice to people is if the fraud is costing you $1,000, do not spend 5,000 to try and fix it, right? Be reasonable and then start to try and chip away at it. And adding something like us or Kickbox, or there's tons of other solutions that are out there that'll help you get rid of kind of, what I call the garbage, right?
Mhm.
Like, people have like, horrible names, swear word names, racial name, all this other kind of stuff that you can kind of take out in the beginning that's really easy.
Mhm.
Then it becomes like the bigger you get, the tougher the bots become. And they're insanely sophisticated today. The difference between when we started this 16 years ago and today, it's like it's a totally different battle.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. It's like I love the whole expense versus risk reward, I guess. Like if you're a small business owner and you're only getting 3 or 4 receipts, a month from your vendors or whatever, you could put them in a shoebox, take a picture of them or whatever, and put
Yeah,
them on a drive. But then you might want to use something like QuickBooks down the road when it saves you time and money, and it's worth paying for that service, right?
exactly.
Yeah. It's like I do some things like real estate investing and I use a platform, but they charge you once you upload a certain amount of receipts. And what I'm doing now is I'm actually just using Gemini, and I created a custom gem where I upload the receipt and it asks me questions about it and what property it's for. Then it keeps it in a table and I can export it in a sheet and it just does all that for me. But at some point I may want something a little more robust. But right now, I do pay $20 a month for Gemini, but I found that to be helpful. But a lot of people don't know how to use AI as good as some other people yet.
Yeah, well, they better learn.
Yes.
I probably use AI 3 to 4 hours a day now.
Yeah, I'm probably that or more, and then I'm using Claude,
Yeah,
ChatGPT, and Gemini depending on my need.
yeah, it's very interesting. It's quite an experience.
So here's something that every now and then I wonder about in general is okay, B2B companies, right? They have sign up forms or information on their website, and you go to fill it out. And then if it's a free mail like Gmail, they'll say, hey, you need to provide a business email. What are your thoughts on that? Like, should companies in general be doing that, or is it okay to accept Hank3456 at gmail.com for a lead?
So it really depends. Sometimes Hank 6439 can be your whale, right, of a sale. I mean, we're a company that like if you try and contact us and you're not using a domain name, or you're using a free email, we won't really spend the time trying to get back to you. So I think if like, if you're going after the Global 2000, they're not coming in with a Gmail account.
Right.
They might on a trial, but they're not if they're really interested. If you're a medium-sized business, you better look at accepting those. And then you just have to kind of, to me, again, it's, you don't just look at the email. Like if your email was that and your phone number was 555-1212, then I'd be like,
Yeah.
not worth it. So it's kind of, and you're coming from an IP that's in a different country and you're doing, there's a whole bunch of other ways you can kind of filter that out. But a lot of people are using, free email accounts. And in fact, one of the interesting trends that we've seen over the years is a tremendous amount of the fraud and bot activity was all driven around domains.
Yeah.
So you go back to like spamming and all that. Those were all domain based, and then everyone went to subdomains. So you'd get a domain, and there'd be 10,000 subdomains under that. And we still see a tremendous amount of domain issues and challenges. And we'll see a domain and there's 20 other, domains on that same MX or the web server that are all, risky. But in the last, year and a half, the increase of fraud and bot that are done with free email accounts is
Mm.
astronomical.
Yeah.
And we even know of services that can get hundreds of thousands of Gmail accounts and they sell them as disposables. So we call it the moving period for them. So it'll be like JI, let's say it's Jim Smith. It'll be
Yeah.
JIM.SMITH, and the next day the period will move a bit. And I mean, we have customers that have hundreds of thousands of these attacking them. So, I don't recommend you turn away free email accounts unless you're trying to sell the biggest of the biggest. But
Yeah.
you got to be extra careful with them.
Yeah, like you said, it depends. Like if you're a SaaS platform, but you're geared towards enterprise, but you allow normal users, you may not want to. I've seen something recently that you get the newer features earlier if you use a business domain rather than a free domain. I saw that tactic and I thought that was tasteful.
Yeah, that makes a lot. Again, it's managing risk.
Yes.
So I can give you a list of 10 million domains that aren't great. But and they're probably worse off than a Gmail account. But you live and learn. So you need to, if you have a custom domain, you need to do a lot of research on that also.
Yeah. So I love it. It sounds like eHawk has, like you said, I forgot the number, but a lot of data that you can get to make decisions, help with possible segmentation, and like you said, reaching out to people, which is great. I mean, folks need to look into that, especially in a day of just data is just available at your fingertips with all these AI models and LLMs and all these crazy things. And it's just how do you keep up with everything that's going on, right?
It is getting, we used to see vectors change every 3 to 4 months. Now we'll see 3 or 4 new vectors a day. So they're all using AI to drive these models. And in fact, we use AI in a kind of an interesting way. So we use AI to create bots and attack our system and see how well it is against
I
those
was gonna
bots.
ask you,
Well, we
why?
figured that's what they're doing. So and then we train our system to recognize those things.
Well, that's awesome.
So AI is pretty good at creating all kinds of, traffic that is, good for testing, one might
Mhm.
say, or whatever. So we use it a lot for that. We use it to help, write code and stuff. But it is kind of an interesting thing if you tell it to build you random X number of Gmails and names that correspond and all this other kind of stuff. And it can build some really nice patterns for you.
Wow. Yeah, and you made me think of something too. It's like I probably should have known is like if you're trying to test your website and or forms, you can have AI help you do that. And I didn't think of that. Like you just gave me an idea. Actually, I was doing some stuff, testing some Salesforce things. I had to integrate three instances of Salesforce and two instances of HubSpot to pass data. So, I
Mhm.
had to create a bunch of test leads. So that would help with that, because I like to try to do some kind of naming to know number one, the iteration, to know it's a test and know when that test happened. So usually I use like my name and then the date and then, a revision A, B, C or something like that. So
Yeah,
AI could
yeah.
definitely help with all that.
Yeah, no, you could tell it, listen, the HubSpot flow goes this and this and this to based upon the countries, and it'll give you leads for all those countries to see if the leads are flowing down the right thing into the right buckets.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I learned something good. Yeah, I
It's a
love
little
talking to
bit
people
easier
about
than
AI.
doing copy, paste, and fill in Excel.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, tonight I'm going to a real estate meetup and I'm presenting on how to use AI tools for real estate, which is going to be fun. And I'll probably learn from some of the people there as well as teach them a lot.
Yeah.
So, what are some tools that you use in your day to day? Not necessarily your tech stack for your product, but like what are some tools that you're using to help you become optimized and efficient?
So we kind of have our public API and then our dating portal thing and all that kind of stuff. And then we've built a whole nother back end that allows, as I said, we kind of watch these, 5 to 600 different metadata points, and then we have a whole engine that kind of makes guesses
Hmm.
on that data. And then it presents those guesses to a bunch of engineers that we have. So, everyone thinks everything's automated today, and it really isn't. AI is fantastic, but the human brain is pretty good too.
Hmm.
Especially the people that we've had that have been working with us for a really long time to kind of figure out like patterns and stuff. And we use that to see new things that are happening. Like we just had a new vector that came in this morning that's attacking an ESP. They start out with like 6 to 8, and this little engine that we have will be like, well, I found these six. What do you think of these six? And you're like, see if you can find any more coming in over. So we kind of use a tool to set a flag on there, and then it
Hmm.
just keeps monitoring it. But most of the tools that we built internally
Hmm.
because we're very focused on kind of abnormality. When it doesn't pass the smell test.
Hmm.
So that's why we built a smell test engine inside. And it smells, it's sniffing all the time. And when it
Hmm.
when it smells something that it's like, I'm not sure about this, we'll look at it and we'll say, no, that looks okay, or wow,
Yeah.
keep watching this, dig deeper. And then the engine kind of goes off and it'll analyze stuff and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we basically, we run kind of a private data center where we keep all of our data, and we just keep hammering it and mining it. We only keep data for 30 days for GDPR.
Hmm.
And we find that almost all bad patterns happen in a very quick time frame,
Yeah.
right? I mean, these are so what's interesting is when you call our API, we give you the data that we have at that moment. So if we know that that domain is risky or that email is disposable or whatever, we respond back. And then we keep that data for 30 days, and every 6 minutes, we check that data again. And the reason that we do this is that we'll find that someone will come in and with a new domain, the domain looks okay. They're using Google as the SMTP server. They'll create 300 different accounts on our different customers. And then after they've created those accounts, we'll see the SMTP server switch to a disposable infrastructure where
Hmm.
they can automate the bots. They can use APIs to call and get that data and do all of that stuff. And so we want to then we have an alert system that says, this person looked okay, but they're not okay anymore.
Hmm.
And for people that are just buying leads or whatever and selling them, it's not great. But for customers that have infrastructure where those leads go into, or they have mailing lists where they want to keep mailing that person every week, it's very helpful. So we create these alerts and say, remove that person from the list. This person, we even have a community where if someone is one of our large customers terminates someone for violation of service, they share that data with us because typically you see in like ESPs or in a bunch of other solutions, one person gets kicked off of there, they're bad, they just jump ship and they go to someone else that's very
Yeah.
similar. So
Mhm.
we're trying to help kind of slow that process down.
Mhm. Impressive. You got a smingen.
We have a smelling engine, smingen. I gotta tell
It's
the
like it's
engineers
like
that. They'll like
marketing,
that
right?
term. You didn't, that's not copyrighted, is it?
I don't think so. You should check and
All
go
right,
with it.
I will check.
It's like me. I started using the term years ago, workaholic, because I'm not a
Yeah,
workaholic. I love what I do, therefore I'm always doing what I love. So I'm a workaholic. Never
I
heard
like that.
anyone ever say it, so I don't know if I can copyright that or not.
I don't know, but I'm definitely with you. This is not a job for someone that wants to sleep and relax.
It sounds like you're doing great things. But what I meant, like you were talking about your stack, like for eHawk. But what about like if you don't mind sharing, like
Yeah.
are you using Notion? Like what tools are you using either personally or for the business to stay organized and productive?
So, we're for like, I mean, we use like, regular Gmail for, for mail. We use a lot of, Google products.
Mm-hmm.
For AI, we typically push towards Claude.
Mm-hmm.
So all the engineers have Claude. We use Claude. We use Slack to communicate. I use Slack to communicate with all my customers.
Mm-hmm.
We have tons of Slack channels that have alerts in it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get further and further away from email. I find Slack to be really, really good at that. Um, we have, a bunch of database tools that allow us to kind of quickly look through the database and stuff like that, and all that kind of stuff. I was the CEO of a couple other companies before, and my title was Chief PowerPoint Officer. So
I feel for you.
I do not touch PowerPoint. I don't do any presentations. I don't do decks. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. So I think as a company we have, I mean, there's tools that the engineers use to,
Yeah.
build the systems and all that kind of stuff and everything else. I don't kind of get involved in that.
Yeah.
But from a productivity standpoint, I find if you have like, Claude and you have, you understand Google, we use a thing called Slack CRM. So that's our CRM.
Okay.
We have a lot of CRM customers that use us, but we're a small little company. So Slack is a great, if you like living in Gmail, Slack is fantastic. You don't have
Yeah.
another CRM, it lives right in it. You can create opportunities, it tracks everything.
Wow.
It's really quite cool and not very expensive, but very,
Yeah.
sophisticated and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
those are kind of the primary tools.
Yeah, a couple things I use. I've been using dictation more rather than typing out because it's gotten a lot better. So that saves me a lot of time and doing replies, and then a lot of repetitive like browser actions. I have something called Touch Portal. I have it's like the second generation iPad Mini, but I just repurposed it, and you can do a whole bunch of. Most people will probably know what a Stream Deck is. It's basically that, but like cheaper.
Yeah.
So if I need to do like if I need to copy something, open a browser window, paste it, but then open another window and use that data somewhere else. Like I just touch a button on my iPad and it does all that. So I've been
Oh,
trying to
that's
build that
neat.
out. I
Little
got about
automation.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, like automation, but it works with the system and it's great. Yeah, those are a couple things I
I'm
use.
waiting for the point where I could just think and look at
Think
the
it.
screen and
Yeah.
it'll do something. And in fact, some of the bots that some of the engineers are playing with that can kind of create their own bots and do their own, and I think maybe we could all float around in the pool in the summer with a cocktail and let them just do their thing.
I think I'll be one of the first ones to line up for a neural implant because I'm a first adopter for a lot of things.
Oh, there you go. That's a pretty serious thing, though.
Yeah, I know. It could affect you
I don't think there's
pretty
going
bad.
back from that.
Awesome. Well, it was great to have you on. Let me get your parting thoughts and then also let us know how to contact you and then also get in touch with eHawk if we have any questions.
Sure. Parting thoughts would be, listen, this is a complicated thing. Don't try and do this on your own. Spend your time and energy and efforts trying to increase sales, and let a partner or a third party company help you with lowering your fraud. It's crazy to try and build this on your own. Happy to talk to anyone that's interested. You could go to ehawk, it's ehawk.net. And my email is peter@ehawk. If anyone wants to shoot me an email, we offer free trials. We're big fan, most of the customers we've had forever. So we consider our customers to be partners. And we love when customers come to us and say, you missed these 50 because it gives our engineers something to look at. So we would love to work with people that want to try and make this internet a safer place and work with us in our technology. And, visit the website if you want, send me an email. Love to chat with you.
Yeah, based on the conversation, what I would encourage everyone to do, especially if you're not a larger company, is just look at the data you have coming in and just using what data you have now to see, like, are there any patterns? Do you see a lot of Gmail addresses with multiple periods or just random numbers, letters, and gibberish? What kind
Yes.
of leads are you getting? Do you need to start using different tools, whether it's eHawk or something else, to gather more data, look at it, and make decisions and help you get better leads this way you can close more? Because I think sales marketing needs to be so much more agile than in the past because there's just so many tools and people can find information a lot faster. I used to have to go into the yellow pages and scroll down to find a plumber and then dial the freaking number, right? It would take a little while for me to do one call. Now I could say, hey, give me a list of 5 plumbers that have above a 4.5 star rating that
Yeah.
seem to be reasonable based on the reviews, et cetera. And it's going to give me that list. So data is very important. And I appreciate you being on and talking to us about this topic because it's probably one that's often overlooked.
Yes, I appreciate the time and hopefully we can chat again.
All right. And I think everybody should have a SMEngine, a smelling engine.
I listen, there's nothing better than a smelling engine.
All right. Until next time,
Take care.
folks, take care of your data.
All right, thanks much. Bye-bye.